yes, keep an eye on some of these stocks. Hindustan Zinc, for example, was up 3% yesterday as zinc prices bounced back. Mayuresh Joshi is also with us from Angel Broking. Mayuresh, good morning. Stock of the day today could actually be Ashok Leyland. Your thoughts on that merger, and how would you approach that stock now?
Morning, Anuj. Again, I think the merger with the company, I think, is going to have some amount of impact as far as the operation parameters for Ashok Leyland goes. I don't see the logic behind such a merger taking place at this point of time. Largely, I think the industry is going through tough times when it comes to MSCV volumes that might exist for another couple of months, to say the least. And though we expect some rebound to start happening in the third quarter of this fiscal, largely, I think it will have some negative impact in terms of how earnings will pan out. So I do expect the stock probably to open in the red, but let the stock probably consolidate and let us have a look at numbers, how they pan out in Q2. Largely expectations are that the rebound should start happening from the third quarter and that the margin should start rebounding as well. But again, I think this merger will have negative impacts as far as their balance sheet is concerned.
Okay, the merger will have a negative impact. Wanted your quick comment, Mayuresh, also on Relcom, on the merger with Aircel. What kind of a near-term and medium-term outlook do you have on that stock?
Morning, Sonia. So from a near and short-term perspective, I think the stock will react positively because the positives that we're seeing from huge subscriber base coming into play, they're getting into 22-odd circles. You're probably looking at revenues which are far in excess of what the individual entities reported. But let's look at the flip side. I think if you look at the net debt is going to increase substantially. It's going to be a highly levered entity, to say the least. And even if we say that the OPEX synergies start coming through, as the management has been indicating, the net debt to EBITDA still is pretty high. So on that sense itself, I think their wireless business still does not have that much amount of RPM revenues. I think the revenues still remain extremely sluggish. You're probably looking at competition from Reliance Jio, which will also probably ensure that the cash flows do not improve as a whole for the merged entity as well in a substantial manner. So in that sense itself, I think the stock might react positively from a short-term perspective, but maintaining a neutral stance. And even on the residual business, I think with the kind of consolidation that we're seeing probably in the telecom space itself, the tower company's enterprise value can also come under some bit of pressure. So that sense itself, the tower asset sale, the Optofiber sale, I think those values will be extremely important that Arcom will be getting through over the next few weeks, as they've been indicating. And if it is a little bit lesser than what the market is expecting, the debt still remains extremely high. So my own sense is that the cash flows will still struggle for the merged entity as well as for the standalone entity.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's take a short break on that note. We'll come back with pre-open reads. Welcome back. Interesting trade setup this morning, because if you look at the Asian markets, a couple of them are actually in the green, but the market we are most positively correlated with, a couple of them are in the red, like Nikkei and Straits, but Hang Seng is in the green, up about 0.5%. So interesting. It's quite volatile. And if you look at the SGX Nifty as well, that's indicating that we'll have a flat start maybe, with a bit of a negative bias. But that's also picked up from the low point. So the SGX Nifty is now 87.57. So it could again be a repeat of yesterday where the mid caps do well while the large cap indices maybe consolidate in a range. BK Sharma is also with us from HDFC Securities. Vinod, hi, good morning. Let's discuss some stocks first. You are actually taking a contra call in Ashok Leyland today.
Yeah, I'm taking a contra call essentially from the perspective of the fact that the stock has already fallen 26% from the top, and the ratio as compared to the other company, it is favorable for Ashok Leyland. So I think it could still fall, but whatever level it falls, it may not be, I've taken at the current rate. So whatever rate it opens, at that rate you can buy that call. I've taken the 85 call at 2.2. Suppose it opens at 80, you can take a call at 80 call. That can be bought for the current settlement, because that is going to be ultimately become a beneficiary of the scrappage policy that will come from the government in the days to come.
Okay, Vinod, hi, morning. The other stocks that you have a call on from the financial space, ICICI Bank and IDBI Bank, is something you're looking at?
Yes, both these two banks, IDBI Bank has done well in the last series, risen almost 10%, although people have used the buoyancy in the stock to gradually prune their positions. Yesterday, in case of ICICI Bank, positions were added to the extent of 3%. The stock went up by 1%. So I'm buying the 270 call at around 7. It had closed around 9 yesterday. So I think during the day you might get an opportunity to get ICICI Bank at a lower price. So you could buy that 270 call at 7. Keep a stop loss at 5 and target of around 11. In case of IDBI Bank, the position is stronger. The stock has seen OI being added to the extent of 13% in the series and 2% yesterday. So I'm buying the 77.5 call at around 3 rupees. That also is slightly lower than 3.4 what it closed yesterday. So during the course of the day, you could buy that and keep a stop loss at 2 with a target of around 5.
Okay, just about 10 seconds left for pre-open. So let's just wait for those rates before we take some more calls. Suffice to say, it's going to be a flat opening, and again, mid caps could do well in today's trade because it looks like that kind of a trade setup. Ashok Leyland would be the stock to watch, and the first pre-open rate is down 10%. Of course, even Hinduja Foundries is showing 10% down, but no volumes yet, so it will take time before we see stocks settling. They will open lower for sure. Maybe not 10% as the pre-open is indicating. Let's look at the bigger stocks then and see what's happening in pre-open. Axis Bank is down a bit, ICICI is down a bit, BHL is a bit lower. On the upside, we have SBI and BPCL. So these are a couple of stocks that stand out. Currency pretty flat actually. Rupee 66.88 is what we have on that one. And Reliance Communication, of course, will be the other stock to watch out for. In pre-open, it's indicating 10% uptake. Don't know if that should play out because this news was always known to the market. So that would be the other stock to watch out for, Sonia.
Oh yes, I'm still looking at Ashok Leyland and the kind of pressure that Ashok Leyland could see. Remember, it's merging with Hinduja Foundries, and as we told you, Hinduja Foundries has been loss-making for the last 4 years. So the company has an accumulated loss of almost 900 crores. And now Ashok Leyland is going to merge with it. Definitely it's going to be EPS decretive for the company, both in terms of EBITDA and as well as the profitability is going to fall. So that's something that the street is getting adjusted to. Couple of more stocks. You have very weak earnings coming in from the likes of NBCC that was below estimates. BEML was a very weak quarter, net loss of more than 100 crores for BEML. So that's something to look at, and also names like Prestige Estates, DB Realty could be under pressure today. But Mayuresh, from the list of earnings, I mean today earnings season officially gets over. Any thoughts on or any stocks that you would still put money into post earnings?
Now again, Sonia, I think the earnings has been a mixed bag this time round, and barring a few stocks which has done exceptionally well, so few within the agrochemical space have done really well in terms of how their earnings parameters have panned out. A few of the real estate companies, specifically I think the Mumbai-based ones did well. You're probably looking at private sector banks that have done exceptionally well in this quarter, barring a few examples again. Cement companies are expected to show strong earnings growth over the next few quarters. quarters as the utilization levels start picking up. And as that happens, you're probably going to see the realizations probably stabilize and improve thereof. So mid-cap cement as a pack, selective large-cap names should do well. Auto companies, in my opinion, have posted reasonable set of numbers with festive season coming around and a push through on the dealer side. My own sense is that the volume growth should be substantial, at least for the next month or so. And if that is aided aptly by whatever we've seen in terms of good monsoons and the sudden pay commission recommendations, the volume growth might still sustain. So two-wheelers as a space is still something that I'll continue to prefer.
Okay, the Ashok Leyland stock, by the way, is not recovering. Keep in mind, it's an F&O stock, so it's going to be easily your top traded stock today. Make no mistake about that, and both in the cash market and in F&O market. So 3 lakh shares traded on on that in pre-open, and it's showing you downtake of about 10% for now. We'll keep tracking the stock. But for now, MMTC posted a weak set of earnings in Q1. Ved Prakash, CMD of MMTC, is with us. Mr. Ved Prakash, good morning. What went wrong in the quarter? If you could explain the numbers, because your income was higher, but you had a net loss.
Yes. If you compare the last quarter of this year, first quarter, definitely we have done better. If you look at it, the figures, our turnover, which was 2,035 crores, it has increased to 2,781 crores. That's an increase of 33.7%. And similarly, the trading profit also we have increased by 45%. Our exports have increased by 200%. Imports we have increased by about 25 to 30%. So, and the net loss, if you talk of last, the first quarter is normally very slow, because by the time the activities, export, import contracts finalized and the shipments start. And still you feel that globally the recessionary conditions continue, but relatively we have done much better. Last year, the first quarter, we had shown a net loss of 33 crores, but in the end, we made a profit of 55 crores. This year, it is much reduced, only it has come down to 7 crores. So we hope that as the quarters pass by, we should be able to do better.
Mr. Ved Prakash, good morning. But at the EBIT level, it is still a 26 crore loss. I agree with you that it is better than the 43 crore loss a year ago. But still, things looking very difficult. Are you going to make a profit in the current quarter or in any quarter in the current year?
As I said, certainly as compared to the last quarter, we are definitely now the pulses of 1,500 crores, which we have imported on government behalf, those have not been accounted for in the first quarter, because these pulses, when we dispose it off, then the turnover and the profit is counted. So if we take out that 1,500 crores, that itself should give us a profit of 6 to 7 crores. So we should be positive in the first quarter itself. But we are quite optimistic. Urea, we have just recently received order from the government, 1.5 million tons. Second, as you say, that the pulses, the cabinet has approved that we must build up the stocks of 2 million tons, out of which imports will be 1 million tons. And MMTC has been authorized to import pulses on government behalf. We have already done about 1,20,000 tons. The tender for 2.5 lakh tons are already on. So we are quite optimistic that definitely we'll end up the year with good profits at the end of the year.
Okay, Mr. Ved Prakash, thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank you.
Well, Ashok Leyland stock, by the way, has recovered all the losses in the pre-open. It's now down only 1.6%. So 83 rupees is what we have on the Leyland stock. Let's just pull that out because it's going to be the stock of the day. So we'll keep revisiting that. Look at that pre-open, interesting trade playing out. Mitesh, we have a couple of calls from you which are left yet.
Yeah, so 2 buy calls are pending, which is one of them is MRF, and clearly I think tired stocks have shown outperformance as well as strong uptrend. This one now can be bought with a stop below 40,250 for targets close to about 42,000, And a mid-cap, rather a small-cap stock, that's ABG Shipyard, very strong price and volume breakout yesterday. Buy the stop below 30.70, and I think the movement which started yesterday should at least head towards 34.
Okay, well, those are some stock ideas coming in. In pre-opening, you also have some names like Ratan India that are doing quite well because that company too posted a good set of numbers this time around. Talking about good numbers, yesterday during the close of the markets, Maharashtra Seamless came out with their numbers. Very good income growth of 25%. It's a profit of 24%, 24 crores versus a loss earlier on. And it's an EBITDA profit as well. So they've turned around on the operational line and the stock has been rising ever since. Ashok Soni, the CFO of Maharashtra Seamless, is with us to talk about that. Mr. Soni, good morning. You know, I was going through your segments. Your steel pipe segment has done quite well this time around, both in terms of revenue as well as EBIT line. What could be the triggers for growth going ahead, and what kind of percentage growth do you see in the steel pipes revenues over the next few quarters?
Thank you. Thank you for the compliments. The results are, you know, in the fact of volume increase as compared to corresponding quarter, and the last quarter we had some inventory losses. So current quarter the growth is commensurate with the volume increase, and pipe segment we are seeing the revival of demand. The government government imposition of anti-dumping duty has also helped a lot to improve the pricing, which was hitherto getting impacted on account of Chinese invasion, and at very low prices they were dumping the material.
So what kind of volume growth do you see over the next say 2 to 3 quarters, and from a revenue base of around 1,000 crores in FY16, what kind of a growth are you looking at by the end of the year?
So we are looking at a growth of around 15 to 20% in terms of volume, and equivalent increase in the revenue as well.
Okay. Also, if you can quickly tell us what's the capacity utilization that the company is operating in currently?
That is one of the main concern, and I think with this imposition of anti-dumping, the capacity utilization is going to improve. Currently, we are utilizing or running capacity at 33%, which is expected to improve to around 40%.
Okay, Mr. Soni, thanks a lot for your time today. Let's discuss some more stock calls before the markets open. Ashwini, a word on some of the NBFCs. Which ones would you buy if the market gives you more dip?
See, Edelweiss turned sharply from levels of 96, so that is a buy. India Bulls Housing had a very good day yesterday, so the housing finance, NBFCs, LIC Housing, etc. also turned. So Bajaj Finance, any more dip, that could be bought. It's very clear the way NBFCs turned yesterday that this is still a market leading group. So NBFCs of all kinds of use should be bought in this decline.
Any thoughts on how one can approach Ashok Leyland today, Ashwini, considering that the stock has in any case been in a downtrend and there's negative news flow?
Well, not only a downtrend, it's probably now in a bear market, and unless we can reclaim levels of 100, it would remain a weak stock, and rallies should be sold into. I think with all of these moves, the CV cycle which was picking up, etc., that goes into the background. So probably Tata Motors is a much better buy right now.
Sudarshan, your thoughts on Ashok Leyland, because still about 3 or 4 months back, this was the epitome of, this just epitomized the mid-cap bull market or the non-index large-cap bull market. Now we are seeing quite a bit of declining trend in the stock.
Well, yes, but that was then, and it broke support levels. It's making lower highs, lower lows. There is a very clear and visible downtrend here. So this is not a buy on dips opportunity. At best, it will stop falling and build a base. But till then, it's either a short sell, which is difficult in a bull market, or a complete avoid.
Okay, fair enough. So Ashok Leyland still down almost about 2.5%. But we have a couple of more stocks of yours left.
Yeah, and those are on the short side. One is Just Dial. which has seen 26% position being added in the series, down 4%. 3% of the fall of the overall 4% that has fallen in the series came yesterday. So I'm searching to buy the 460 put at around 16 rupees here, stop loss at 12 and a target of around 25. Another stock is Shriram Transport Finance, where we have seen the stock falling 8% in the series, and people have built short positions on that, 39% to be specific. 5% of those came yesterday. So I am buying the 1150 put at around 32, stop loss at 25 with a target of around 50.
Okay, so that's a lot of F&O trading ideas. 2 minutes left for markets to open. Ashwini, what would be your top conviction call for the morning?
I think the way tires have moved, possibly there could be continuation. So JK Tire is a buy with a stop of 144, target of 152.
Okay. So Darshan, any thoughts on some of these rural consumption-based stocks that have been hitting new highs? You know, names like Britannia, Jain Irrigation, UPL.
Yes, I referred to them earlier. See, FMCG generally, or as you call them, rural consumption, this is a sector that's suggesting a lot of cheer is still to come, whether it's Britannia or Dabur or even Hind Liver to some extent. There is a buying opportunity. Sonia, here the buying opportunity is mainly if you want to hold for a few weeks, not just trade it.
Okay, well, Mitesh, you know, stocks like Infosys, TCS, they're breaking down but not breaking the previous lows. Is that indication of some kind of support, or do you think it's a matter of time before they make 52-week lows?
It appears that they will make fresh lows. I think what has happened is that they've been hammered down, they've been quite oversold, and I think now just sideways consolidating. Unless until we see a reversal signal, my bet is that I think the trend should extend on the downside.
Okay, important news on the screen, the advanced tax numbers. Keep in mind, today is 15th, so you'll have a lot of advanced tax numbers being released. And we have Yes Bank, which would have paid 435 crore versus 310 crore. Earnings is never a problem with Yes Bank, of course. The bigger problem is the whole QIP fiasco and valuations getting readjusted because of that, and the fact that clearly the QIP getting bombed, it's at higher levels. There's some reluctance to buy that stock, and that's why that stock has been under pressure and has seen a minor bit of derating. But over the last 1 or 2 years, rank wealth creator is what we have on Yes Bank. Just about 5 seconds left for markets to open, so let's just wait for that and see what kind of opening we have. Okay, that's the opening tick. Well, it's in the green, 20 points higher on the Nifty, so 87.47 is what we have now, 18 points higher. Let's see if actually it sustains or goes into the red, because that's the first tick at times can be misleading. 15 higher now, 14 higher, 87.41 is what we have now, about 13 higher. At some point it will stabilize. Okay, 11 higher right now, 13 higher, 87.40. So looks like for the moment 87.40 is the equilibrium. Reliance is the stock that's leading the bulls today. That stock is up nearly 1% in trade. Hindalco is up about 1%. Tata Power is up 1.5%. Bosch is up 1.5%. Bosch was the top loser yesterday, so some bit of short covering in Bosch. Asian Paints is doing well, of course. And Yes Bank actually is on the way down. That stock is down about 3%. The QIP news is not dying down, and that stock is reacting negatively now. So 3% lower is what we have on Yes Bank. Infosys is down about 0.5%, 1040 on that stock. 1009 is the 52-week low for Infosys. Keep that in mind. Larsen is a bit soft, and of course there are a couple of other names like BHEL, which is also in focus. Tata Motors DBR also up about 0.5%, but a lot of mid-caps and non-index stocks are in news today, Sonia, so let's just go through the list.
Oh yes, in fact for the mid-cap index the opening is not too bad, so up about 0.3%. The advanced decline ratio is also positive today, so 700 stocks on the advancing side. Let's talk about the stocks in the news. Ashok Leyland is under pressure, down about 3%, but you must also look at Hinduja Foundries, because that stock too is now down almost 20%. Remember, the stock is up 60% a year to date, so there is some pressure that you're seeing on Hinduja Foundries, 20% lower. Ashok Leyland as well is sinking some more, now down almost about 3.5%. On the Aircel merger, Relcom is the stock that's in the green, so up almost about 3% on Relcom. It will be strategically positive for Relcom. Debt will go down as well, so that's something that the street is factoring in right now. But there are lots of stocks in the red today because of their weak earnings, so we should take a look at that. You have DB Realty that is under a bit of pressure post its numbers. You have Prestige Estates that's down post its numbers. A couple of others like BEML is sinking 7% lower now on the back of weak set of earnings coming in from the company. So that stock is taking a hit really hard. And on the upside, Ratan India, the stock that our colleague Anisha was referring to, post earnings, that stock is up almost about 8%. You know, this entire pocket of intermediate dyes, the vinyl sulfone theme that Mr. Tulsian had spoken about, all those stocks doing very well even today. So Bhageriya Industries is something that should come up 7% higher. Kiri Industries up almost about 3-4%. Vinyl sulfone prices have surged significantly, so this is one pocket that's looking quite good. But otherwise for the market, Anuj, very quiet opening really, not moving at all for the headline indices, but it's good to see that the bulls have not given up just yet. In fact, 8700 is holding quite well.
I think the bank nifty is in the red, so that's the one point. Today is also the weekly options expiry, and the mid caps, there's some sign of outperformance, some minor sign of outperformance, so that's something that you got to keep an eye on. Let's also pull out NBCC and see what that stock has done. We've spoken about BEML, that stock is of course down about 6.5%. NBCC actually is in the green, and of course the stock of the moment is still Ashok Leyland. Look at the volumes being traded in the Leyland stock, down about 3.5% at this point in time. Ashwini, your thoughts on the market opening?
Yeah, I think we are consolidating between this 87-8800 zone. So as long as this 8680, 8700 holds on, I don't think there's much to worry about. Obviously, we can't start rallying if all other global markets are flattish. But I don't think there's that sort of fear psychosis where people are just out of fear leaving positions. You'll see this up and down. Probably this is still a good buy on dip type of market. So closer to 8700, 8720, if you accumulate, maybe later on in the day you'll get that opportunity, particularly on the bank nifty.
Yeah, there is nothing alarming in this market opening. To be fair, it's flat with, in fact, a positive bias going today. So just perhaps buying time ahead of the big events that are lined up later next week in terms of the FOMC policy, etc. But Yes Bank is taking a knock. Sudarshan, wanted your thoughts for a medium-term investor in Yes Bank who's perhaps made a lot of money in the bull run that Yes Bank has seen. At what price do you think it would be a good buying opportunity in Yes Bank? Is this the price at 12.20 now, or do you see lower levels?
At some point, I don't know whether Yes Bank will come there, but around 1075, 1100, it's a perfect buying opportunity. Since most stocks do correct, if an investor is patient in the next few months, he'll probably get that price, 1100.
Okay, well, one more stock that we forgot pointing out, we should have done that in the morning, is Jindal Steel and Power. That stock is up 3%, purely for technical reasons. This stock is out of the F&O ban, so that stock is up about 2.8% right now. Mitesh, your thoughts on either GSPL or any other stock that you have noticed in market opening?
I think, as I said, I think, around 87.50, I would want to trade with some kind of short bias. So I've noticed Bosch. I think that's the stock which broke down yesterday, and I think is getting into a negative zone today as well. So I would sell this one with a stop at about 23,600 for targets close to about 22,000. And the other one is a sell on Coal India. I think that's a sell with a stop below 328, and I would look at targets about 328.5, and I would look at targets of around 313.
Okay, some more stocks to look at. Sunteck Realty is one stock that's up 5.5% now, and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Sunteck Realty has hit a 52-week high today. It's hit that level of 270. It's been one of the few real estate stocks that have done well this quarter because one of their projects has come in for revenue recognition, their Mumbai project, Ignis, and because of that, their numbers are looking quite good. So Sunteck Realty up in the green. Britannia, another high coming in over there. So fresh high at 35.61. Apollo Tyres is another one, fresh 52-week high there, up almost about 2%. Mayuresh, any thoughts on the tire space and any fresh buy ideas here?
So Sony, again, I think with falling rubber prices which are taking place, the margins for tire makers should probably sustain. What we are also expected to see is a lot of expectations on volumes doing pretty well, both on two-wheelers and four-wheelers. So for the tire industry in general, I think the replacement demand should start holding up, which is higher margins. Third, I think there is some amount of expectations of a rubber policy coming through, and the threat of Chinese imports have basically had a lot of impact on tire companies over the past few quarters. So I think it has been a clear hold in the past several months for me on tire names like MRF, JK Tire. But Goodyear India is something that will still continue to prevail even at these levels and on declines. The premise behind Goodyear that I like is 50% of its revenues come in from the tractor business. We've seen huge amount of spurt in tractor volumes. With good monsoons coming through, the expectations of volume growth getting maintained is still there. The cash on book is close to 25% of its market cap, so it's a cash-rich company. And again, I think the ROICs are extremely high for this company going ahead. So our own take is a 7.5-8% top line growth, close to that 1700 odd mark over the next couple of years. PAT to come anywhere close to 121-125 odd crores. It trades at an EPS of around 53 odd rupees on an FY18 basis, and valuations are up 11 times, which we feel is quite reasonable considering the balance sheet strength. Goodyear India is something that I like, so even at these levels from the tire space.
Okay, Mayuresh, thanks a lot for your time today and taking us through market opening. Let's just quickly discuss the stock of the morning, Ashok Leyland.